Captain Jake Miller stood at the edge of the great council chamber on Nexus Prime Station, watching the alien delegates argue about war strategies. His human uniform looked plain next to the colorful armor and robes of the other species. The Zephyrians wore bright blue suits that sparkled like stars. The Quarthic delegates had thick metal plates covering their large bodies. Even the small Pixian representatives had fancy glowing clothes that changed colors as they moved. Jake had been the human representative to the Galactic Federation for 3 years now. Every single day, he heard the same jokes and saw the same looks of pity. The aliens thought humans were weak, stupid, and useless. They treated Earth like a charity case that needed protection. The Vorthan Empire has destroyed another outer colony, announced High Chancellor Vrex, a tall alien with 4 arms and gray skin. Their war fleet grows stronger each day. We must decide how to respond. The chamber filled with worried voices speaking in dozens of different languages. Jake understood most of them thanks to his translator implant. What he heard made his jaw tight with anger. Humans should stay home where it's safe, laughed General Thok, a massive Quarthic with tusks like a walrus. Their little ships would break apart in real space combat. Maybe they can carry supplies for the real warriors, added Commander Zilix, a snake-like serpentine with scales that changed from green to purple. Their cargo holds are the only useful thing about human vessels. Jake's hands formed fists at his sides. Commander Lisa Brooks, who stood next to him, put a gentle hand on his arm. She was the head of human diplomatic security, and Jake could see the same frustration in her dark eyes. "Easy, Captain," she whispered. "Remember the plan." Jake took a deep breath. The plan. For 50 years, humanity had played the role of the weak younger brother in the galactic family. They let other species laugh at them, mock their technology, and treat them like children. But there was a reason for this act, a reason that only a few humans knew about. "We need every ship we can get," said Admiral Cormith, a blue-skinned Aquarian whose gills fluttered with worry. "The Vorthans have weapons that cut through our best shields like paper." "Then we definitely don't need human ships," General Thok said with a loud laugh. "Their weapons are so old, they probably still use chemical explosives." More laughter filled the chamber. Jake watched Ambassador Kate Young at the human delegation table. She was trying to look calm, but he could see her fingers drumming nervously on the smooth surface. Kate had spent years trying to earn respect for humanity through peaceful diplomacy. She organized trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation. None of it mattered when war came calling. Perhaps humans could help with medical supplies, suggested Dr. Yenth, a tall ethereal with glowing white skin. "They do have some skill with basic healing techniques." "Or evacuation ships," added another delegate. "They're good at running away." The laughter got louder. Jake felt his face getting hot with embarrassment and anger. These aliens had no idea what humans were really capable of. They saw Earth's small defense fleet and assumed it was everything humanity had. They looked at human soldiers with their simple uniforms and basic-looking weapons and thought they were primitives playing dress-up-dot if only they knew the truth. Chancellor Vrex raised 2 of his 4 hands for silence. "The Vorthan threat is real and growing. Our intelligence reports show they have at least 5,000 warships, maybe more. They use some kind of dark energy weapons that we don't understand. Every species that has fought them has been completely destroyed." "How long do we have?" asked Admiral Cormouth. 6 months, maybe less," Rex replied. "They're moving through the outer systems, taking everything in their path. No prisoners, no mercy. They turn entire planets into ash and move on." Jake's communicator buzzed softly against his wrist. He glanced down and saw a coded message that made his heart beat faster. It was from Admiral Rick Stone back on Earth. The message was short but clear. Phase 1 authorized. Begin preparations. Jake looked at Lisa, who had also received the message. She gave him a tiny nod. After 50 years of hiding, humanity was finally ready to show the galaxy what they were really made of. The human delegation requests permission to speak, Jake said. Stepping forward, General Thok laughed so hard his tusks shook. What could humans possibly add to this discussion? Are you going to suggest we throw rocks at the Vorthans? Or maybe they want to surrender on behalf of everyone, added Commander Zilix with a hissing laugh. Jake walked to the center of the chamber, ignoring the smirks and whispers. Earth offers its full military support in the coming war against the Vorthan Empire. The chamber fell silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then the laughter started again, louder than before. Military support? General Thok wiped tears from his small eyes. What military? You have maybe 50 ships total, and most of them look like they were built in a scrapyard. We appreciate the offer, High Chancellor Rex said in a tone adults use with children. But perhaps humans would be more useful in support roles. Medical aid, supply transport, civilian evacuation. Leave the fighting to species with proper warships and trained soldiers. Jake nodded politely. Of course, Chancellor. We understand our place. But inside, Jake was smiling. These arrogant aliens had no idea what was coming. They thought they knew everything about human capabilities. Because they had seen Earth's public defense fleet. They had never bothered to look deeper, never wondered why a species would join a galactic federation without having real military power to back it up. The meeting continued for hours. Species after species presented their military assets. The Zephyrians had fast attack ships with energy shields. The Quarthics brought heavy battleships with thick armor. The Aquarians offered their underwater combat specialists and submarine vessels that could operate in any liquid environment. When it came time for humans to present their forces, Ambassador Kate stood up with a tablet showing Earth's official military roster. The Human Federation can provide medical support ships, cargo vessels for supply runs, and evacuation transports for civilian populations. How many ships? Asked Admiral Cormouth. 57 vessels of various sizes, Kate replied. More snickers filled the chamber. 57 ships when other species brought hundreds or thousands. Any combat vessels? General Thok asked with a grin. 12 patrol craft with basic defensive weapons, Kate said. The laughter was softer this time, more like the sound adults make when a child shows them a drawing. Jake could see the pity in alien eyes. Poor humans, trying so hard to be helpful when they clearly had nothing useful to offer. As the meeting ended and delegates began filing out, Jake caught pieces of their conversations. They were already planning the war without considering human involvement in combat roles. Humans would carry supplies, tend to the wounded, and help evacuate refugees when the real fighting started. Ready to head back to the quarters? Lisa asked as the chamber emptied. Jake nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead to the secure communications room where he would contact Earth. Admiral Stone would be waiting for his report, and there was so much to discuss. The activation codes, the deployment schedules, the revelation that would change everything. One more day of playing weak, Jake said quietly as they walked through the station's corridors. Tomorrow, the galaxy starts learning who humans really are. Lisa smiled. I almost feel sorry for them. They have no idea what's coming. Behind them, alien delegates continued their conversations about the hopeless war against the Vorthans, never imagining that salvation would come from the species they had just finished mocking. General Dan Harris stood in the command center, buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching screens that showed military activity across 50 star systems. The room hummed with quiet energy as hundreds of technicians monitored secret human operations that had been running for decades. This was the real heart of Earth's military power, hidden from alien eyes and scanners. Status report, Ben said to his aide, Major Sue Danis. Sue checked her tablet. All sleeper stations are online and ready. Dr. Clark's weapon facilities have finished production schedules. Every hidden base is reporting full combat readiness. Dan nodded. For 50 years, humanity had been building this moment. While aliens laughed at Earth's tiny public fleet, humans had been secretly constructing the largest military network in galactic history. Hidden bases in asteroid fields, cloaked shipyards in empty space, weapon research facilities disguised as mining operations on distant moons. What about the Vorthan movements? Dan asked. Their scout fleets are probing Federation defenses, Sue replied. Our deep space monitors show at least 200 Vorthan ships testing alien response times. The Federation fleets are failing every engagement. On the main screen, tactical displays showed the pathetic results of alien military encounters with Vorthan scouts. Zephyrian fast attack ships lasted an average of 4 minutes in combat. Korthik heavy battleships with their thick armor were cut apart like tin cans. Even the advanced Aquarian shield technology couldn't stop whatever weapons the Vorthans were using. The aliens are panicking, reported Lieutenant Colonel Ben Torres from his position at the intelligence station. Ben was one of Earth's top special forces commanders, and he had been watching alien military communications for weeks. Half their species are already preparing evacuation plans. They think the war is hopeless. Dan walked to the central hologram table where a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy rotated slowly. Red dots marked confirmed Vorthan positions. Blue dots showed Federation forces. Green dots, invisible to alien detection systems, marked hidden human assets. There were thousands of green dots scattered throughout space. Dr. Clark, what's the status on our special projects? Dan asked. Dr. Amy Clark looked up from her workstation. She was the head of humanity's classified weapons development program, a genius who had spent 30 years designing technology that would make alien scientists weep with envy. Project Ghostwriter is ready for deployment. Our cloaking systems are 20 years ahead of anything the Federation has seen. Project Thunderbolt has produced more firepower than the rest of the galaxy combined. And Project Iron Wall ... She smiled. Let's just say the Vorthans are in for a surprise. Dan had seen demonstrations of Amy's work. Weapons that could punch through any known armor. Shields that bent enemy fire into harmless light shows. Ships that could appear and disappear like ghosts, striking without warning and vanishing before return fire could target them. What about troop readiness? Dan asked Ben. Every human soldier knows their real mission now, Ben replied. The guys who have been playing medical support and supply runners are excited to finally show what they can do. Morale is through the roof. Dan understood that excitement. Human soldiers had been pretending to be weak and incompetent for decades. They carried weapons that looked primitive, but packed technology 20 years ahead of alien military hardware. They wore simple uniforms that hid armor systems capable of stopping alien heavy weapons. They flew in ships that appeared to be basic cargo haulers, but were actually advanced combat vessels with enough firepower to level cities. The communication board lit up with an incoming priority message from Nexus Prime Station. And activated. The secure channel and Captain Jake Miller's face appeared on screen. General, the Federation Council has made their deployment decisions, Jake reported. They're assigning us to supply runs and medical support, just like we expected. No combat roles. Most alien species are already writing off the war as hopeless. Perfect, Ben said. That gives us complete tactical surprise. How long before the Vorthans make their main attack? Intelligence suggests 6 months maximum, Jake replied. Maybe less if they decide the Federation is weak enough to crush quickly. Done. Nodded. Continue the charade. Let them think we're just scared little humans hiding behind stronger species. When the real fighting starts, we'll show them what Earth has been preparing for. The communication ended, and Dan turned back to his staff. Initiate Phase 2. I want all ghost fleets in position within 30 days. Every weapon system online. Every special operations team ready for deployment. Sue's fingers flew across her control pad. Orders going out now, General. Should we inform our people on Federation worlds? Not yet, Dan replied. The fewer people who know the truth, the better our surprise will be. Let the aliens keep thinking. They're protecting us. Over the following weeks, the situation in space grew worse for the Federation. Vorthan scout fleets became bolder, striking deeper into alien territory. Every engagement ended the same way. Federation ships destroyed. Vorthan ships barely damaged. The aliens had no defense against whatever dark energy weapons the Vorthans were using. Ben Torres monitored alien communications from his intelligence post. The Zephyrians lost another battle group today, he reported during the daily briefing. 12 ships destroyed in 15 minutes. The survivors are saying Vorthan weapons just cut through their shields like they weren't there. What about Korthic heavy units? Amy asked. Even worse, Ben replied. Their armor plating means nothing to Vorthan dark energy beams. The Korthics are starting to talk about abandoning their outer colonies. Dan studied the tactical displays. Alien fleets were pulling back toward their home systems, leaving huge areas of space undefended. The Federation was collapsing before the main Vorthan attack even began. Sir, we're receiving reports that some alien species are requesting emergency evacuation assistance, Sue reported. They want human cargo ships to help move civilian populations away from Vorthan advance routes. Approve those requests, Dan ordered. It maintains our cover and gets our ships into perfect positions for the real fight. What the aliens didn't know was that every human cargo ship was actually a disguised warship loaded with advanced weapons and crewed by elite combat personnel. When Captain Joe Parker took his supply vessel to help evacuate Pixian civilians, he was actually positioning a stealth dreadnought with enough firepower to destroy a Vorthan battle fleet dot when Commander Sarah Bell moved her medical transport. To assist wounded Aquarian soldiers, she was really deploying a command ship capable of coordinating attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. The aliens saw helpful humans bringing food, medicine, and transportation. They never suspected. They were watching the deployment of the most advanced military force in galactic history. Latest intelligence from our deep space monitors, Ben announced during one morning briefing. Vorthan main fleet is assembling. We count over 3,000 warships, with more arriving daily. They're preparing for a massive simultaneous attack on 17 different Federation core systems. Ben felt a cold smile form on his face. Excellent. The bigger their fleet, the more impressive our victory will be. Sir, are you sure we can handle those numbers? Sue asked. 3,000 ships is a lot, even for us. Amy Clark laughed from her workstation. Major, we've been preparing for this fight since before you were born. Humanity has 5,000 active warships, and that's just our frontline combat vessels. We have support fleets, special operations units, orbital weapons platforms, and defense systems the Vorthans have never seen. Plus, Ben added, every human ship is worth at least 10 alien vessels in combat effectiveness. We've seen how Federation fleets perform against Vorthan technology. Our weapons and shields are 50 years ahead of anything the aliens have. Dan walked to the main display showing troop and fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Green dots marking human assets now. Outnumbered blue Federation dots by 3-1. The aliens had no idea that humanity had quietly become the largest military power in known space. The Vorthans think they're about to conquer a weak federation of primitive species, Dan said to his assembled staff. They're going to learn that. They just picked a fight with the one species in the galaxy that's been preparing for exactly this kind of war. Colonel Mike Johnson, who commanded human ground forces, looked up from his tactical planning station. General, my troops are asking when they can drop the act. Some of them are getting tired of pretending to be scared of alien training exercises. Soon, Colonel, Dan replied. Very soon, every human soldier is going to get their chance to show the galaxy what we're really capable of. And when that day comes, no one will ever laugh at humanity again. The communication board activated with another priority message from space. This time, it was Admiral Rick Stone calling from his flagship hidden in the outer system. General, Vorthan advanced scouts just wiped out a Federation patrol group near the Centauri sector, Rick reported. Total destruction in under 10 minutes. The aliens are starting to panic. Dan nodded. Let them panic. Fear will make our eventual victory even more impressive. Are our ghost fleets in position? Every ship ready and waiting, Rick confirmed. The Vorthans won't see us coming until it's too late. War Chief Zethrak stood on the bridge of his massive command ship, watching Federation fleets scatter like frightened insects before his advance forces. The Vorthan war leader was 12 feet tall, with black scales that seemed to absorb light. Getself, his 4 red eyes glowed with satisfaction as another alien battle group died under his dark energy weapons. Pathetic creatures, Zethrak hissed to his second-in-command. Their technology is centuries behind ours. This conquest will be easier than destroying the Kilvani Empire. The main tactical display showed Vorthan fleets advancing on 17 different Federation core systems simultaneously. 3,000 warships moved through space like a dark tide, sweeping away any resistance they encountered. Every alien species that tried to fight was crushed within minutes. Report from Fleet Commander Vex, announced a Vorthan communications officer. The Zephyrian Home Defense Fleet has been completely destroyed. 0 Vorthan casualties. Excellent, Zethrak replied. What about the Korthic heavy battle groups? Eliminated in the first wave of attacks, War Chief. Their thick armor was useless against our dark energy projectors. Zethrak's mandibles clicked together in what passed for Vorthan laughter. These Federation species had looked so threatening in their intelligence reports. Advanced shields, powerful weapons, thousands of years of space warfare experience. But when faced with true Vorthan military might, they folded like paper structures in a storm. War Chief, we're receiving surrender transmissions from multiple Federation worlds, reported another officer. The Aquarians are offering to submit without resistance. The Pixians are requesting terms for peaceful occupation. Ignore them, Zethrak ordered. We don't take prisoners. Every Federation world will be reduced to ash and minerals. Their species will serve as examples to the rest of the galaxy. The bridge crew continued their reports of easy victories. Alien fleets destroyed, colonies conquered, entire star systems falling under Vorthan control. It was all going exactly as planned. Within days, the Federation would be nothing more than scattered refugees fleeing toward the galactic rim. What about the humans? Zethrak asked, remembering intelligence reports about the Federation's weakest member species. Humans? The communications officer checked his displays. Our scouts report they are running supply missions and evacuating alien civilians. No military resistance detected. Zethrak's red eyes narrowed with interest. Show me these human vessels. The main screen shifted to display reconnaissance footage of human ships moving through space. Zethrak saw plain-looking cargo haulers, simple medical transports, and basic passenger ships. Everything about them screamed primitive technology and peaceful intentions. These are the humans' warships? Zethrak asked with amusement. Intelligence suggests those are their total military assets, War Chief. Approximately 60 vessels, mostly. Converted civilian craft with basic defensive weapons. Zethrock made a sound like grinding metal that indicated extreme amusement. 60 ships? The Korthix had 800 warships, and we destroyed them in one afternoon. These humans are not even worth our attention. But as the hours passed, something strange began happening to Zethrak's invasion fleets. Ships started disappearing from his tactical displays without any distress signals or combat reports. First one vessel would vanish, then another, then entire. Patrol groups would go offline without explanation. Fleet Commander Vix, report your status. Zethrak ordered through the communication system. Static was the only response. Communications Officer, establish contact with the 7th Battle Group. Unable to connect, War Chief. Their transponder signals disappeared 40 minutes ago. Zethrak felt a cold sensation in his chest. Losing contact with a few ships could be explained by equipment failures or communication interference. But entire battle groups didn't just vanish without reason. Show me the last known positions of our missing vessels. Zethrak commanded. The tactical display updated to show red zones where Vorthan ships had disappeared. The pattern was troubling. Missing vessels were scattered across multiple star systems, with no obvious connection between their positions. War Chief, we're receiving emergency transmissions from Battle Group 5, announced the communications officer. They report coming under attack by unknown vessels. Unknown vessels? Zethrax. Scales bristled with anger. There are no unknown vessels. We destroyed every Federation military asset in this sector. The bridge speakers crackled with panicked Vorthan voices speaking over combat noise. Heavy weapons fire from multiple directions. Ships appearing out of nowhere. Shields failing. They're using some kind of the transmission cut to static. Get me a visual on that battle, Zethrak ordered. The main screen showed the aftermath of Battle Group 5's position. Floating debris and radiation signatures, marked where 5 Vorthan warships had been destroyed. But there were no enemy vessels visible anywhere in the area. Where are the ships that did this? Zethrak demanded. Unknown, War Chief. Our sensors show no Federation vessels within 50 light minutes of that position. This was impossible. Ships couldn't just appear, destroy a Vorthan battle group, and vanish without a trace. Even the most advanced Federation cloaking technology couldn't hide vessels during active combat. Sir, we're getting reports from multiple fleet commanders, the communications officer said with worry in his voice. Patrol groups throughout the invasion zone are being attacked by invisible enemies. Captain Joe Parker sat in the command chair of his disguised dreadnought, watching Vorthan battle groups fall apart under coordinated human attacks. His ship looked like a simple cargo hauler from the outside, but underneath the false hull plating was one of the most advanced warships ever built. Cloaking systems functioning perfectly, Captain, reported his tactical officer. The Vorthans can't detect us even when we're firing. Excellent, Joe replied. Target their command ship and prepare another strike package. On his tactical display, Joe could see dozens of other human vessels moving through the battle zone like deadly ghosts. Commander Sarah Bell's disguised medical transport was systematically destroying Vorthan heavy cruisers. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Torres had deployed special forces teams that were sabotaging enemy supply lines. Major Alex White was coordinating precision strikes that eliminated Vorthan commanders before they could adapt to human tactics. The Vorthans had been right about one thing. This would be an easy conquest. They just hadn't realized they would be the ones getting conquered. Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Stone, reported the communications officer. Rick Stone's face appeared on the command screen. Joe, excellent work out there. Vorthan. Losses are exceeding all expectations. They have no defense against our cloaking technology. "Thank you, Admiral," Joe replied. "These dark energy weapons, they're so proud of can't hit targets they can't see." "How are our casualties?" Rick asked. "0. Combat losses so far," Joe reported. "A few minor system failures, but nothing serious. Our shields are handling their weapons better than expected." Rick nodded with satisfaction. "Continue current operations. Intelligence reports that the Vorthan war leader is starting to panic. Soon he'll make mistakes that we can exploit." Back on Zethrak's command ship, panic was indeed setting in. Half of his invasion fleet had been destroyed or gone missing in less than 6 hours. The Federation had somehow produced a military force, more advanced than anything in Vorthan intelligence files. "War Chief, emergency message from the home fleet," announced a trembling communications officer. "High Command is demanding explanations for our losses." Zethrak's red eyes blazed with fury. "Tell High Command that we are facing unknown enemy technology. Request immediate reinforcements." "Sir, Fleet Commander Vorth reports that his entire battle group is under attack by Federation vessels that appear and disappear at will." "Impossible," Zethrak roared. "No species has cloaking technology that advanced." But even as he spoke, Zethrak could see the tactical display updating with more red zones where his ships had vanished. Whatever was attacking his fleets was doing so with precision and coordination that suggested a unified command structure. "War Chief, incoming transmission on Federation emergency frequencies," the communications officer reported. "Put it through," Zethrak ordered. The main screen flickered and showed a human in a simple military uniform sitting in what appeared to be a basic ship's bridge. The human looked calm and relaxed, as if he was discussing the weather instead of commanding a space battle. "Attention Vorthan forces," the human said in a steady voice. "This is Captain Joe Parker of the Human Federation Navy. You are hereby ordered to cease all hostile actions and withdraw from Federation space immediately." Zethrak stared at the screen in disbelief. A human was giving him orders? This weak, primitive species was threatening the might of the Vorthan Empire? "You dare make demands of me, insignificant creature?" Zethrak snarled at the screen. "I am War Chief Zethrak, conqueror of 100 worlds. Your pathetic species will be extinct before this day ends." The human captain's expression didn't change. "War Chief, you have lost 40% of your invasion fleet in the past 6 hours. Your remaining ships are surrounded by forces you cannot detect or fight effectively. This is your only opportunity to surrender with honor." Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the UHS Liberator, humanity's flagship that had been hidden in deep space for 20 years. Around her, the largest battle fleet in galactic history prepared to drop their disguises and reveal themselves to a shocked universe. The time for pretending to be weak was finally over. "All Ghost Fleets report ready, Admiral," announced Commander Jane Foster from the tactical station. 4,000 warships across 17 star systems, waiting for your command. Lisa nodded as she watched the main display showing Vorthan forces in complete chaos. Their invasion fleet was scattered and confused, losing ships to attacks they couldn't understand or counter. War Chief Zethrak's 3,000 vessels had been reduced to fewer than 1,800 in just 12 hours. "Captain Ryan, are your fighter squadrons in position?" Lisa asked. Captain Tom Ryan's voice came through the communication system from his command fighter somewhere in the void. "All squadrons ready, Admiral. We have 500 fighter craft in stealth mode surrounding every major Vorthan formation." Lisa smiled. Tom's pilots were the best in human space, flying fighters that could outmaneuver anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their ships were invisible to enemy sensors and armed with weapons that made Vorthan dark energy projectors look like children's toys. "Major White, status on ground operations?" Major Alex White checked his tactical board. Special Forces teams had neutralized Vorthan command posts on 47 occupied worlds. Enemy communication networks are completely compromised. They can barely coordinate between their own ships. The systematic destruction of Vorthan forces was going better than even Earth's most optimistic projections. 50 years of secret preparation was paying off in the most decisive military victory in galactic history. Admiral, incoming priority transmission from Earth Command, reported the communications officer. General Dan Harris appeared on the main screen from his underground command center. Lisa, you are authorized to initiate full revelation protocols. Let the galaxy see what humanity has been hiding. Understood, General, Lisa replied. Beginning full declassification now. Lisa turned to her bridge crew. All stations, prepare for Operation Daybreak. Drop all stealth systems and reveal our true fleet strength. Throughout space, the greatest military deception ever conceived began to unravel. Human ships that had spent decades disguised as cargo haulers and medical transports suddenly dropped their false hulls and activated their true weapon systems. Cloaking fields that had hidden entire battle fleets for years finally shut down, revealing thousands of advanced warships. War Chief Zethrak watched his tactical display in growing horror as more and more contacts appeared around his remaining forces. First dozens of ships materialized out of empty space, then hundreds, then thousands. Every single vessel bore human identification markers. This is impossible, Zethrak whispered as the scale of human military power became clear. Intelligence reported 60 primitive vessels. Where did these ships come from? His communications officer was frantically checking sensor readings. War Chief, our scanners now detect over 4,000 human warships. They appear to have advanced cloaking technology we've never encountered. 4,000? Zethrak's red eyes widened with shock. That's larger than our entire invasion fleet, but the revelations were just beginning. As human ships dropped their disguises throughout the galaxy, the true scope of Earth's military became visible. Hidden bases in asteroid fields activated their defenses. Orbital weapons platforms around empty worlds powered up their targeting systems. Space stations that had appeared to be mining operations revealed themselves as military command centers. On Nexus Prime Station, alien delegates watched their tactical displays with expressions of complete disbelief. The weak, helpless humans they had mocked for 50 years suddenly possessed the largest and most advanced military force in known galactic history. How is this possible? Stammered High Chancellor Vrex, his forearms shaking as he stared at the readouts. Human military strength just increased by 10,000% in the span of minutes. Captain Jake Miller stepped forward with a smile. Chancellor, I believe it's time for humanity to be honest about our capabilities. Ambassador Kate Young activated the station's main communications array. All Federation members, this is the human delegation. For 50 years, Earth has maintained the pretense of military weakness while secretly building the galaxy's most advanced defense network. We did this not for conquest, but for protection. Today, that protection extends to every Federation member world. The chamber filled with shocked voices speaking in dozens of languages. Alien species that had spent decades pitying humanity suddenly realized they had been under human protection the entire time. Back in space, the destruction of Vorthan forces accelerated dramatically. Captain Tom Ryan led his fighter squadrons in devastating attacks that carved through enemy formations like knives through fabric. This is Red Leader. Tom's voice crackled through fleet communications. Beginning attack run on Vorthan command vessels. All squadrons weapons-free. Human fighters swarmed around Vorthan ships like angry insects, their advanced weapons cutting through enemy armor as if it didn't exist. The Vorthans tried to return fire, but their weapons couldn't lock onto targets moving at impossible speeds. With technology decades ahead of anything they had encountered. Blue Squadron, focus on their heavy cruisers, Tom ordered as his fighter dove between massive Vorthan warships. Gold Squadron, take out their weapons platforms. Within minutes, the Vorthan formation was reduced to burning wreckage. Ships that had destroyed Federation fleets with ease were helpless against human military technology. Major Alex White coordinated ground operations from his command ship orbiting a recently liberated world. Ground Team Alpha, report status on the Vorthan garrison. Garrison neutralized, Major, came the reply from Colonel Mike Johnson. These Vorthan soldiers had no idea what hit them. Our equipment is so far ahead of theirs, it wasn't even a fair fight. Human ground forces were proving just as superior as the Space Navy. Soldiers who had pretended to be simple peacekeepers were actually elite warriors equipped with armor and weapons that made Vorthan military gear look primitive. Their training programs had been disguised as basic exercises, but they were actually the most advanced combat preparation in the galaxy. War Chief Zethric tried desperately to rally his remaining forces. All ships, concentrate fire on the human flagship, he ordered. Destroy their command vessel. Hundreds of Vorthan dark energy beams lanced toward Admiral Grant's ship. But instead of tearing through human shields, the weapons simply disappeared into shimmering energy barriers that absorbed every attack without visible effect. Interesting, Lisa said calmly as her ship shrugged off weapons that had destroyed entire alien fleets. Commander Foster, return fire. Show them what real weapons look like. The Liberator's main guns activated for the first time in combat. Beams of pure energy erupted from the human flagship, each shot carrying more destructive power than an entire Vorthan battle group. Where the beams struck, Vorthan warships simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. Impossible, Zethrak breathed as he watched his most powerful vessels disappear under human weapons fire. No species has technology this advanced. Dr. Amy Clark monitored the battle from her research station on Earth. Her decades of secret weapons development were finally being field-tested, and the results exceeded even her wildest expectations. Project Ghostwriter cloaking systems performing flawlessly, she reported to General Harris. Project Thunderbolt weapons are eliminating targets faster than we can acquire them. And Project Ironwall shields are making our ships virtually invulnerable. Throughout the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human forces revealed their true capabilities. The Vorthan Empire, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was being systematically destroyed by a species they had dismissed as harmless primitives. Admiral Grant, this is Fleet Admiral Bob Martinez from the 2nd Human Fleet, came a transmission from another sector. We've eliminated all Vorthan forces in the Centauri region. 0 human casualties. Confirmed, Admiral Martinez, Lisa. Replied, continue operations in your assigned zone. The scale of human military organization was staggering. While aliens had seen only small groups of human ships, Earth had actually deployed multiple full fleets throughout the galaxy. Each fleet was larger and more powerful than the combined militaries of all other Federation species. On his dying command ship, War Chief Zethrak finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The humans hadn't been weak at all. They had been the galaxy's silent guardians, protecting Federation space while allowing other species to believe they were the ones providing security. Open a channel to the human flagship, Zethrak ordered with his remaining communication systems. Admiral Grant's face appeared on his screen. War Chief Zethrak, I assume you're ready to discuss surrender terms. How long? Zethrak asked, his voice filled with a mixture of rage and grudging respect. How long have you been hiding this power? 50 years, Lisa replied honestly. Since the day humanity joined the Federation. We knew that someday a threat like yours would emerge, so we prepared. President Helen Carter stood before the assembled representatives of every known species in the galaxy, her image being broadcast to billions of worlds across countless star systems. A great assembly hall on Earth had never hosted such an important gathering. For the first time in galactic history, representatives from every civilization were coming to humanity's home world to hear what Earth had to say. Fellow sentient beings, Helen began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. 3 months ago, the galaxy learned that humanity possesses military capabilities far beyond what anyone imagined. Today, I want to explain why. We made the choices we did, and what those choices mean for our shared future. In the front rows sat the alien leaders who had once mocked human weakness. High Chancellor Vrex of the Federation Council looked uncomfortable in his formal robes. General Thok kept his tusked head lowered in what appeared to be shame. Even the proud serpentine delegates sat quietly, their color-changing scales showing patterns of respect and submission. Fleet Admiral Bob Martinez stood at attention beside the podium, his uniform bearing new decorations that marked him as Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. Behind him, holographic displays showed the current deployment of human fleets throughout the galaxy, thousands of ships, maintaining peace across hundreds of star systems. 50 years ago, when humanity first encountered galactic civilization, we faced a choice, Helen continued. We could reveal our true capabilities and potentially frighten other species, or we could hide our strength while learning about our new neighbors. We chose concealment, not from fear, but from wisdom. General Ruth Taylor sat in the human delegation section, still processing the complete Vorthan surrender she had overseen just weeks before. War Chief Zethrak himself was now imprisoned on a maximum security facility, his mighty empire reduced to a handful of defeated colonies under human military occupation. During those 50 years of apparent weakness, humanity was never truly helpless, Helen explained. Our ships carried supplies and provided medical aid throughout the galaxy. Our soldiers served in peacekeeping roles and evacuation missions. Our diplomats worked to prevent conflicts through negotiation. But all the while, we were also watching, learning, and preparing. Ambassador Steve Collins had spent the past months renegotiating humanity's position in galactic affairs. Treaties that had once relegated humans to support roles were being rewritten to reflect Earth's true status as the galaxy's dominant military power. The process was complicated, but alien. Governments were eager to cooperate with their newly revealed protectors. We prepared for threats like the Vorthan Empire, Helen said, gesturing toward the tactical displays. Species that would seek to conquer and destroy rather than coexist and prosper. When that threat finally came, humanity was ready. In the audience, former Vorthan prisoners sat under heavy guard. These survivors had been allowed to attend the assembly as witnesses to the new galactic order. Their black scales seemed duller now, their red eyes lacking the fierce confidence they had once possessed. They had learned the hard way that humanity's peaceful nature should never be mistaken for weakness. Our military revelation was not meant to intimidate or threaten peaceful species, Helen continued. It was meant to demonstrate that the galaxy has a protector capable of defending civilization against any threat. Earth takes this responsibility seriously. Dr. Amy Clark watched from the scientist section, already working on her next generation of defensive technologies. The galaxy was peaceful now, but she knew that other threats would emerge eventually. Humanity would be ready for them too. Some of you may wonder why we chose deception over honesty, Helen acknowledged. The answer is simple. Power without restraint leads to tyranny. By hiding our strength, we avoided the temptation to use it for conquest instead of protection. Captain Tom Ryan and his fighter pilots were scattered throughout the galaxy, providing security for important alien worlds. His squadrons had become legends among alien populations, who had witnessed their devastating effectiveness against Vorthan forces. Children on a dozen worlds now played games pretending to be human fighter pilots. Moving forward, humanity proposes a new structure for galactic governance, Helen announced. The Federation will continue to handle diplomatic affairs, trade, agreements, and peaceful dispute resolution. Earth will take responsibility for military defense and peacekeeping operations. The alien delegates murmured among themselves, but there was no real opposition to this proposal. After seeing human military capabilities in action, no species was foolish enough to challenge Earth's new role as galactic protector. Colonel Mike Johnson commanded human ground forces that were now stationed on former Vorthan worlds, helping rebuild societies that had been devastated by the Empire's brutal occupation. His soldiers had traded their disguises as medical personnel for their true role as peacekeepers and protectors. This new arrangement will ensure that aggressive species like the Vorthans can never again threaten galactic peace. Helen explained. Human forces will maintain defensive positions throughout inhabited space, ready to respond to any threat within hours instead of months. Major Alex White coordinated intelligence operations that monitored the galaxy for signs of emerging threats. His networks, once hidden within supply missions and diplomatic exchanges, now operated openly as Earth's early warning system against potential aggressors. To species that choose cooperation and peaceful coexistence, humanity offers friendship, protection, and partnership, Helen said. To those who might consider conquest or aggression, we offer this warning. The galaxy is under human protection now. We will not allow another Vorthan empire to rise. Captain Jake Miller had been promoted to admiral and now served as humanity's primary liaison with alien governments. His years of enduring mockery and insults had prepared him well for the delicate work of managing Earth's new relationships with formerly superior species. Some of you witnessed our military capabilities. During the Vorthan conflict, Helen noted, what you saw represented only a fraction of humanity's true defensive potential. Earth has been preparing for galactic threats since before we left our home system. We will continue that preparation for as long as necessary. The holographic displays updated to show current human military deployments. Alien observers could see defensive networks that spanned entire sectors, patrol routes that covered every major trade corridor, and response fleets positioned to reach any threatened world within hours. The age of galactic warfare is over, Helen declared. Under human protection, peaceful species can focus on exploration, scientific advancement, and cultural development without fear of conquest or destruction. Commander Jane Foster now commanded the largest naval base in galactic history, a massive facility hidden in the asteroid fields of an empty system. From there, she coordinated the movements of thousands of human warships that maintained peace across hundreds of worlds. To our former enemies in the Vorthan Empire, we offer a path to redemption, Helen said, looking directly at the prisoner delegates. Species that abandon conquest and embrace peaceful coexistence will find that humanity can be as generous in peace as we are devastating in war. War Chief Zethrak himself had been allowed to address the assembly earlier, his surrender broadcast. To every world that had once feared Vorthan might, his words still echoed in the chamber. I fought humanity believing them to be weak. I learned that they are the strongest species in the galaxy, and also the most merciful. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Helen continued. We can choose a future of cooperation and mutual prosperity under human protection, or we can return to the old ways of constant warfare and the threat of extinction. The choice is yours, but the consequences will affect every living being in known space. Captain Joe Parker commanded one of dozens of patrol fleets that now openly protected major shipping lanes. His ship, no longer disguised as a simple cargo hauler, flew proudly with human military colors while escorting alien merchant vessels through space that was finally truly safe. Earth does not seek to rule the galaxy, Helen concluded. We seek to protect it. Every species represented here today has the right to self-governance, cultural independence, and peaceful development. What you do not have is the right to threaten, conquer, or destroy your neighbors. The assembly hall erupted in applause that lasted for several minutes. Representatives from hundreds of worlds stood to show their appreciation for humanity's protection and their acceptance of the new galactic order got as the formal ceremony ended. Delegates began filing out. Many alien leaders approached the human section with expressions of gratitude and respect. The same beings who had once laughed at human weakness now sought human friendship and alliance. General Dan Harris watched the proceedings from Earth's military command center, monitoring defensive networks that now operated openly throughout the galaxy. His decades of secret preparation had resulted in the most peaceful period in galactic history. Admiral Grant, status report on galactic security, Helen requested as the assembly concluded. All human fleets report normal patrol status, madam. President, Lisa replied. No threats detected. Trade routes are secure. Alien populations report the highest safety ratings in recorded history.